Tony Bar Kapora. We'll start from the second one. Omar Rav Nosson Bar Abba Rav Mochtem Hapsil B'Yomtiv. You permit to mochit. So Gemara says, my mochtem. What's the meaning? Omar Chani Bar Shlamyo Ladu Yechushcha. To remove the charcoal, the carbon from the top of the wick, you're permitted to like rub it between your finger. And we're not considered this considered tikkun mono. You know, you're perfecting the wick. It's permitted. So again, we really didn't understand this because, tikkun mono is only permitted if you can't do it from before Yom Tov, unless you say this charcoal came upon. He lit the wick on Yom Tov. And there's so that you can't remove a piece of charcoal, carbon, which happens on Yom Tov. Tony Bar Kavor, Vov Dvorim Nemru B'Psilo. 6 things were said regarding a wick. Gimel Lahachmir, Gimel Lahokil. 3 to be Machmir, 3 that you could be lean. Lahachmir, Ein Godlin, Osa L'Chatchila B'Yom Tov. You're not permitted to make a wick on Yom Tov. You know, you take cotton and you rub between your fingers to twist it. You're not permitted. Ein Mahavin, Osa B'Yom Tov. For a wick to catch quickly, you singe it. You singe it and blow it out. You're not permitted to do that on Yom Tiv. And you're not permitted to cut it in half. Let's say you have a long wick and you want to make it into shorter wicks. That's tikkun mono. You're not permitted to do that. Lahokil. What's lahokil? The leniency. Memacha biyad. Meaning, instead of rubbing it between your fingers, like you press it with your hand. Right? What the whole idea? What's a wick? By twisting it, it becomes more condensed. So you're compressing it, but you're not compressing it normally the way you do. By twisting it, but you're like squeezing it with your hand. B'shor b'shemen. You want it to ignite quickly, so you permit it to soak it in oil, in olive oil or whatever. B'chot chabor pishteres, like we had before. Like you have a wick in each end of the wick is in a dish with oil, and then you light the center. So by lighting the center. So it appears that you're lighting 2 candles, but while you light it, the wick it's severed in half. That you're permitted. The wealthy people of Bavel, they're all destined to go to Gehenna. The wealthy people in Bavel. Like this person's name was Shapsoi Bamarinis, equal to Bavel. Here. He went to Bavel. Boy minai wisko. Shepsober, he went to Bavel, and he wanted they should give him what's called like merchandise on consignment, or to be not also like be a part partner, part investor. Below Yovali, they wouldn't want to. They didn't work this day. Okay, so you don't work a deal on. Bizoni Mezon, he asked him for food. He had no food. Nami Lozino, they wouldn't give him food. They wouldn't, meaning when it came to Chesed, they didn't do A, they didn't do B. So therefore, they Yordi Gehenim, these people. So Rashi says, Sheina Merachmin Lasut Stoka. They have no rachmas. They don't do charity. Isko Rashi Schora the Stakel Machzaschar Mezoni Shom Hem Mezonas Mezon Nami Lozino. They wouldn't feed him. Omar Hani. This, so Shabsi ben Marina said, Hanim Erev Rav Kosu. These people that descend from the Erev Rav. The Erev Rav that came out with us from Egypt, they're what? They're descendants of those Erev Rav. Hashem says to Klaus, I will give you Rachmim, the ability to have mercy, compassion, to have mercy on others. Yeah. A person who has the characteristic of Rachmanus, it's known, he's a descendant of Avram Avinu. He's from Avram's progeny. Person does not have that, so where are they from? They're Jews. They come from the Erev Rav. They intermingled with us, they converted, but they're not. They're from the Erev Rav. A person who has to rely on other people for food, his world is dark. As they say, it's ochenveig, that you have to wait to eat on other people's feet. He's mitzapa, he waits to be invited. Mitzapa means hoping to be invited. Shenemar, nodei tu lalechem. He wanders for his bread, from nodeid. Aye yeda. Ayeh. Nodei hu lechem le ayeh. Yeda ki nochon biyodo. To know that he's assured that he has bread. He wanders for bread. Where is it coming from? To know that it's secure in his hand. Yom Choshech. This is the day of darkness, man. A person who has to wander, not know where his bread's coming from, and he doesn't have that insurance, his day is dark. The world is Choshech. That kind of life is not a life. To live in this limbo state, not knowing where your sustenance is coming from, okay? Yeah. It's in Russian, Nochum Yodo Mezum Etzlo. It's this is a little like the concept pas besalo. You could have, if you have food in your cupboard, you can decide not to eat for the next 3 days, and you're okay, because whenever you want to eat, you have it. But if you don't have the food in your cupboard, even if you have to eat this moment, you don't know where the next meal is coming from, you worry. It totally incapacitates you. Torah Bonon Gimel Chayim Einam Chayim. 3 people, their lives are not lives. A person waits to be invited for food to sit at someone else's table. A man, his wife, dictates his life. A woman who dominates her husband, that guy, his life's not a life. A person who's overwhelmed with pain, with suffering, in physical suffering, he's Yisurim. A person who has one garment. Because in the olden days, you'd wash it. You had 2 garments, you were able to, or it had to be deloused. When you deloused come, you can't be naked, so you'd have another garment. So he has 1 garment. The answer is because as he wears it, he's able to check it. Okay? Rashi, Mafales Kinov Kalov Minakinim. While he's wearing it. Kinim, lice. Here it says, Gimel Einam Chayim. It's interesting. It says 3 people, their lives are not lives. Misha Ishto Moshe L'Solov. Mishnah says in Eruvin that a person who's Misha Ishto Moshe L'Solov, a man whose wife controls him, dominates him, he's not going to get him. He's not going to get him. Because he has get him in this world. It's Mishnah in Eruvin. So my father, Alam Shalom, when he'd see this in the street, like a woman really giving her husband a hard time, said, this guy's not going to get him. He has it already. Yeah. Sounds better in Yiddish. My voice, this guy's not going. He's not going. Okay. The Gemara's Mishnah also says when a person has mental illness, a person like a spirit comes over him and he has a mental, he suffers mentally. Right. Also, doesn't go to Ganem. And also a person who's impoverished at a very extreme level. Right. Also doesn't go to Ganem because the level of suffering is not to be understood. Therefore, he has his Ganem in this world. These are the 3 people. But one of them is Ishtom. Here it says, Chaim Ein Chaim. He's already dead in this world. His life is not a life. A living death is worse than a dead death. He's living. A chauvinist acheres. You're not permitted to break a piece of pottery. Meaning, in the old days, if a person would have you can't put the fish directly on the fire; it get burnt. So they'd have something like a piece of pottery. They put it on it, and the pottery would get hot from the fire. And the fish would broil on the pottery. Right. Okay. Let's say you have to take a large piece and you break it the size to accommodate the fish. You're not permitted to do that because it's makabapatish. Because you're creating, this is like, a person has, let's say, aluminum foil. And you tear a length of aluminum foil for what you need, let's say, to wrap something. Over there, first, that's machatich. That's machatich. Right? Because you're cutting something to a specific size. But that's an issue, right? So, but in addition, it has a semblance of makabapatish. And why did you cut it to that size? Because you want to be able to wrap it. If it's small enough, you can't wrap whatever you have to wrap. So you're making it to have the ability to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Okay? So that's the idea with the cheres. And also, you cut a piece of paper. Also, you can't put a salted fish. You want to broil it. You put it on a piece of paper. You don't put it directly in the fire. So Rashi says, Shetzolen dogma askelo, shekorin, when you put it on the griddle, he calls askelo as a griddle. Chotchen kanim, o kash, shibolim, o shovren charesim, o chotchen nior, v'shorim b'mayim. Here what they do. And the water, I mean, how do you take a piece of paper?
Right.
It would burn, no, they would soak saturated water and they put it. The sojan anir al gabi askelo, and you put it on top of the grill, on the grill. The Nesha Matechas Maschami V'Sov Sadak, because you put it directly on the. You ever see a seared chicken cutlet?
Yeah.
It has lines on it.
Sure.
So therefore, they would put it. If you wanted it shouldn't be seared, you put this saturated paper on top, and then after it wouldn't get burnt. Leachdag. Okay. Further. In Gorfen Tanav Kirayim, you have, let's say, an oven or kirayim, other type of cooking apparatus. It's filled with ash, and you want to sweep out the ash. So by sweeping out the ash, you're making the oven to be functional.
Right.
You're not permitted to do it. You could press it down. To remove it, not, but to press it down to make room. Otherwise, you have piles of ash in there.
Right.
It's mechapshin. Permitted to mechabesh. So Rashi says, it's not ash. In the ovens in the old days, they would, in the old days, they used to plaster the food to the side of the bread, right? Eventually, it had to be like resurfaced.
Okay.
Because eventually it would fall off.
Right.
The surfacing would fall off. Let's say some of that fell into the oven. So you want to sweep that out to be able to use it.
Good.
You're not permitted. That's what it's speaking about. Rashi says, "In nofal tochav min hatofav v'atiach," the coating. In Gorfen said the misakim onu v'asya. Ucharabona machshir ochel nefesh asiri. It's going according to the Chachamim, who say that anything to facilitate ochel nefesh, you're not permitted. Yeah. Okay. Further. Let's say you want to cook a pot. So a person would take 2 barrels, separate the barrels, and make a fire between the barrels, and put the pot to sit on both barrels. Okay, so therefore, you're creating a situation to be able to cook, right? But we'll see, it's a shiloh of oil. You're creating like a covering, an oil. Okay, so you're not permitted to do this. It's rabbinical. Let's say you have a pot, and the pot itself has to be equalized, and you want to take a piece of wood and wedge it underneath it to equalize the pot. That the pot shouldn't tip. Okay. Not permitted. So take a piece of wood and use it as a door stopper. We're talking about a piece of wood which initially was not designated as a door stopper. Not permitted. In the old days, when you would take lead an animal in the street, you'd have a long stick. Okay. Because this is already when you would go to market. How would you take an animal to market? So if you would lead the animal with this long stick, what would it look like? It looks like you went to market. So that's why there's over the whole. Okay? Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemati says he permitted. It's not a problem. So Rashi says, not because it looks like you went to market, because since the wood itself was designated for kindling and not for this, you can only use it for what it was designated for. Okay, further. My time off. What's the reason why it's permitted to break the pottery to broil the fish? What's the reason not? We shouldn't come a sakin mono. Because again, you're perfecting something. Vein gorfin tanav kiram, why aren't you permitted to sweep out the oven or this other cooking apparatus? Tony Rav Chia bar Yosef coming to Rav Nachman. So Rav Chia bar Yosef for the Yevsher lefos elkein gorfo mutab. What about if it's not workable? You're not able to bake unless you sweep out all that the debris that fell off the wall. Mutter, you're only permitted. I mean, if it could be worked out, then you should bake the way it is. Right. But if you can't bake, it's impossible, and you don't have any other way to bake, then you could sweep it out. Okay. The wife of Reb Chia, a brick had fallen out of the wall of the oven into the oven on Yom Tov. Omalo, Reb Chia, he said, quality bread. So if the brick is in that oven and part of the wall is missing, you don't have quality bread. So therefore, what do you have to have somehow put it on the floor of the oven? No, you have to put it on the floor of the oven. So therefore, you can remove whatever's in there.
Right.
Second. So what he was saying to make sure to sweep out that brick. That brick should not be in the oven. So it's interesting. The Gemara had said, if you cannot bake, unless you remove it, then you should. Now the question is, what's baking? He said to his wife, make sure that, he says, I want quality bread. So meaning, you could set whatever standard you want. If he said to his wife he wants quality bread, that's called, it's not possible to bake quality bread in this oven.
Right.
You say, so you make do with less quality bread.
Right.
No. So you see when it says, before we said, if it's yefsha lefos, if you can't bake, you're permitted. What's called you can't bake. Bake at what level? See, so the Gemara showing from Reb Chia, the story of Reb Chia, he says, I want quality bread, because it would be like a half-baked bread. It wouldn't bake well.
Right.
Okay? Amalei Rabba L'Shamei Tovali Barabzo. Rabba said to his shamus, broil for me a duck. You want a broiled duck? Yeah, abzo. Takes a bar. Vazdar micharuch. And when you broil it, make sure it shouldn't get burnt. It shouldn't get singed. You know? If it stays in the middle, sometimes it touches the wall, it gets singed. Amalei Ravina Rashi, Amalon Ravachim Yehutzel, the Mar Sharkin, Le Tanura B'Yom Tova. He says, Ravashi, Ravina says Ravashi, Amalon Ravachim Yehutzel, Ravachim told me about you, Ravashi, Sharkin Le Tanura B'Yom Tova. You coat the walls of the tanur on Yom Tif. Yeah. I mean, you smear them. Rashi. Avdi Adoni Tochen Svivus Kisi Pia Tano Betid Shlo Yetzi Homo Kishatzli Betocho Koshel Itzli. Stop. Now, in the old days, you had an oven. Today, you have a gasket around the door, which seals the door. It doesn't let any air in. So the heat is even heat. What happens if the heat leaks out? It doesn't broil right. So what would he do? He would take clay or mud and he'd seal the door of the oven, because on Yom Tif, he did it on Yom Tif, so it should be able to bake or broil well.
Right.
Okay? The Tamela Milsim Shem the Gibel Tit told the Lisho, mud. If you take sand, you add water and you mix it, that's Lisha. That's lush. Okay? So what's so terrible? Lisha is permitted on Yom Tif, right? You're permitted to knead, to bake bread. So over here he's kneading for a whole nefesh. Right? So to be able to eat the food. So Terry says this is machshir ochel nefesh, but we rule machshir ochel nefesh is permitted. We rule like Rabbi Yehuda. Right. We rule like Rabbi Yehuda. We'll see. Mar shaken l'terbi omalei anan araks de prasam chinon. There was mud before Yom Tov. He set aside mud from the bank of the Euphrates. So it's not he took sand and he added water to it to make this mud. It was there. That's only if he set it aside from the day before. Why? Because if you didn't, it's muktzah. I mean, first of all, are you permitted to? The mud is still attached to the bank. Could you go to the bank, take off mud? First of all, it's a question of no, muktzah for sure, but maybe even this is the rice. I mean, you're digging. Yeah. You're digging into the bank of the river. He says it's makalkil. Right? It's damaging. But muktzah for sure, it's muktzah. So the mud that he had, he set already aside. He detached it from for Yom Tiv. That is ready to be used to seal the oven. Amr Rav Kit Mashari. What about if you want to seal it with ash, not with mud? Kitten is ash. You could use it. There's not a problem. So Rashi says, Kotosis argues, but if you want to take mud, ash, and mix it with water, that's not called kneading. Ash, it's like wet. It's wet ash. When you take sand or dirt, dry sand or earth, and you add water, it becomes that's lush. It becomes a mass. It's a different interaction, chemical interaction. So that you're not permitted to do. But ash, even after you mix it, it's not called lush. It's not lush. You're just wetting. It's wet ash. Rashi, Tosis. Kid Mashori, Piushka Rashi, Legovlu to about Labar Givalu. The Tamo. So he asks a question. The Gemara says, "Kos Gemara Shabbos Damin b'Shabbos Dafilu b'Nesinas Mayim ala Efer Balma Hu Chayev Shem Gavel." Kamer Hosam Echad Nosin is Efer V'Echad Nosin Samayim. It says and it says explicitly, if you take ash, one person puts ash in a vessel, and one adds water. The one who adds the vessel adds water to the vessel, although he didn't even mix it, just letting it absorb. That's lush. So how could Rashi say over here that was speaking that he's using ash with water? Over there, it's clear that it is lisha. Ishloma docha ratzloma kit moshari klom kit moshari listomas dok. It's not where it's wet. You're just using ash to stuff the crevices to seal them. Shloyoti or kamoshu yovesh below the sinas ma'imova. So Tosas is learning without water. When it says you're permitted to use ash, you designate ash normally is muktzah, but if you designate ash as sealant, then it would be okay. It's not a problem. Ash is permitted if already was mixed with water before Yom Tov. You could use this paste to seal the oven door so the air shouldn't leak in or leak out. Okay? I still understand what the problem with Elisha is. If we hold Machshir Ochel Nefesh is permitted, and it's not possible to seal the oven until you use the oven. The only time you use the oven is on Yom Tif. So if that's the case, it's Ev Shalasam Ev Yom Tif. You're not able to do it before Yom Tif. It's like a knife dulling on Yom Tif. You're permitted to sharpen.
Right.
So here, so well, why? He said, but ash is lisha, or with Ravashi. How do you use mud to seal? He said, I took the mud from the bank of the Euphrates.
Right.
Because otherwise it's lisha, and if it is lisha, you're permitted to add to knead flour or water to make dough, to bake. It's ochel nefesh. You say mitoch, right?
So
does he say anything over there? What the problem? What? No, but no. We're saying even if we hold that even machshir, there's an argument. The Chacham Reb Yehuda, if something happens on Yom Tov, or what? Meaning you had a sharpened knife and a dull on Yom Tov, are you permitted to sharpen it? So the Chacham say only ochel nefesh is permitted. Direct preparation of food. But what will facilitate ochel nefesh, that's nisa d'oraisa. Reb Yehuda says no. Anything which facilitates ochel nefesh, which you couldn't have done before Yom Tov, the Torah permits. Ochel nefesh. For instance, you had a sharpened knife, and through its usage, you doled over Yom Tov. So this knife now couldn't have been sharpened before. It was sharpened. So that the Torah permits. So I'm saying over here, the Torah allows you to cook, to broil. So if I would have broiled before Yom Tif, it's not as fresh as doing it on Yom Tif. So how am I supposed to broil in an oven if the oven leaks? I have to take mud and seal it. I have to take ash and seal it. So that's the reason. It's not a problem. But the question is, but it says, but if you make the ash on Yom Tif, it's a problem. It's lisha. And so what? It's ochel nefesh. Lisha is permitted for ochel nefesh. Kneading is permitted. Like you're permitted to knead dough to make bread, you're permitted to knead this to seal the oven.
Right. But there could be nothing but hot dish because you're...
Not makadish.
Well, because you're protecting...
Yeah, but the Gemara says over the problem is gibel. It's kneading. The issue is kneading.
Right. So you have to go back.
So it's kneading. So what? And it's kneading. If you were allowing it because it's ochel nefesh, it's mutter.
Good, right. Okay, so how did they resolve?
I don't know. That's what I was going to look over there. He says something.
Since the mixing could, if we say mixing could be done for Yom Tov, or because it's possible to seal the door, it's not for kneading.
Yeah, but how could you seal? How could you seal? No, kneading, I understand. The ash, that I hear. The ash, you could have added the water to the ash before Yom Tov.
Right.
Same thing with the mud, but the seal. Okay, it's good. It's good.
But if it's like the
No, it's good because you could have made the mud before.
But if it was like the knife, if it's compared to the knife, how would you know?
No. The knife, only if the knife dulls through usage on Yom Tif.
Right, so
But if you have a dull knife from Yom Tif that you never sharpened, you're not permitted to sharpen.
All right, but so if you had an oven that was working and now it's not working.
No, not if it's not working. No, every time you open the door, close it, the door has to be sealed.
Right.
Otherwise, the air leaks in and leaks out. So that you can't. What about the mud itself? Making the mud. The mud could have been made before Yom Tif. Right?
Right, because you're constantly opening and closing.
No, you make the mud before Yom Tif.
Right. So you'd always have a...
So you have a reserve of mud.
Right. Okay. That's the result.
You know, they tell over a story. This is a total digression. Talking about mud. Yeah, normally you tell it over to some of your cardiac patients. This person was, what's his name, clogged arteries, mud. Okay, so this little boy was playing in the mud, and he said, "What are you making?" He says, "It's making a fireman, a policeman." They said to the boy, "Why don't you make a politician?" He says, "I don't have enough mud."
He's getting really good at this.
Okay, talk about mud here.
The only time he makes the mud, which was to be used Yom Tov, was marked off in the...
No, that definitely. Otherwise,
Corporation.
that's what he said.
It must be marked off.
Yes. Diary means he identified it.
It's only mixed.
Well, otherwise, it's muktzah.
Okay.
And that's how you avoid the disrespect rating the whole by removing very...
Right. That's what we said.
It says also, since ashes do not mix well with water,
That's
making
Rashi.
mixture is not considered...
Yeah, but that's Tosafos' question. He quoted the Gemara in Shabbos. It says, if you add water to ash, it is lisha. It's interesting. So you have to say, bread we allow you to bake on Yom Tiv, because fresh baked bread is better than bread baked before Yom Tiv.
Right.
What about if you make the dough? I mean, making dough, you could have made the dough before Yom Tiv.
Good.
Right?
Right.
So we have Tosin that base on the base. The whole differentiation that Eshla Sumer of Yom Tov, that's only by Machshir Ochel Nefesh. Ochel Nefesh, even if you could have done before, the Torah permits it. Machshir to facilitate Ochel Nefesh, it's only if you couldn't have done it before. So that's the case. The ash you're using here, it's to facilitate Ochel Nefesh. It's to use it as a sealant. So because he could have made the ash before Yom Tov, no, so therefore we don't permit it on Yom Tov.
Right.
Okay, further. The Mishnah says you can't take two barrels, put them next to one another. Rav Nachman, stop. And what? Because Avora shel Beis HaKisei, mutal tzadum b'Yom Tiv. If a person wants to do his bodily functions, and you have stones that were designated to be piled up that he should sit on it, so he's going to make two piles of stone, sit on it, and there'll be a space in between, he should be able to do his bodily functions. He says, you're permitted to pile up these stones on Yom Tiv. So the question is, it's like the barrel. Taking two barrels, putting a pot on, the Mishnah says you're not permitted to do this. Right? Because you're creating a covering over the two.
Right. Here.
Wait. Avonah b'shal b'skis mud tzadam b'yom tiv. Eisvei Rav Nachman. So Rabbi asked Rav Nachman, Ein mekivin shtei chavis lishpos aleim es hagedero. Says you can't put two barrels next to one another and put a pot that the pot spans both barrels. Because oil. Omalei shani osam mishum t'kovet oil. They're the provisions of course creating an oil. A human being is not an oil. Right? Putting a pot, so you're spanning both barrels. So you create a covering. A person builds a platform on Yom Tov. It was a platform. Are you permitted? Stop. Building a platform, that's called a permanent structure.
Right.
Binyan is not permitted. But it's something which is temporary, is okay. So let's talk about the barrels. The oils, you put two barrels, you put a pot on top. On the Torah level, it's permitted. Because it's not a binyan kavod, it's not a permanent. You're not to create anything permanently, right? But they don't even want you to do that because it's Xeri make something, build something permanent, right? So why over here? We should quote the logos rabbanon. We're talking about kovet habrios. A person should be able to do his bodily functions. We're dealing only with this rabbanon. Since it's not permanent, it's only some rabbanon. It's a gzera. In terms of, because he'll be confused, he'll make a permanent structure. But since over it's a question of kovet habrios, it's to do with bodily functions.
Okay.
Therefore, that becomes the overriding factor that overrides the rabbanon.
So the building of the platform.
No, that's a permanent situation.
Right.
So that's Nisdoraisa. That's binyan keva. That's a binyan kavua. That's a set structure. Under no circumstances that.
Did we say in Sukkah that you could put in a platform to raise the kosher?
No. On Yom Tov they couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it.
That's the reason why they would push off hakel. They would push off hakel if it would fall out on Shabbos.
Because you'd have to
Because you
make
couldn't
that.
build a platform. Okay? Further. Rav Yehuda, Haimad Durta. You're building a bonfire. So how do you build a bonfire? you'd have to actually build a structure of wood, right? We're talking building like a beer of wood. It's an art how to build it, correct? Let's say you would build it from bottom up. When you build anything, how do you usually build it? Bottom up. So you build it square, and you just keep building it up, build it inside. That's also midrabanan. It's not a permanent binyan,
Right.
but that's also. What about if we build it top down? You start on top, and somebody holds, and they keep inserting the logs on the bottom until you finally get to the bottom. That's called lamala lamata. Normally, when you build lamata lamala, from down up. You build upward. Here, the top down. We'll see. Omar Rav Yehuda, Haima Durta, Milamala Lamata Shari. If you're building it top down, it's permitted. Milamata Lamala Osir. From down up, that should not be permitted. Let's see Rashi. Haima Durta, Hesed Godel, Sha'osin Lefnei Sorim. It's like a bonfire you make before ministers. Kederach Binyan Osin Osa Ksolin, Dal Ruchos, it has 4 walls. The Sojan Eitzim Milamalo, and then you put wood across the top. Milamato lemalo, lesada eitzem shel ksolim tchilo, lasos lim gag osurin. First you build the walls, then you want to put the roof covering on. It's not permitted. That's because that's what you build. Right. You build the walls, then you put the roof. What about milamato? Laschut tchilo min agag. First you put, and you have somebody holding the roof, and then you insert the walls. Akach yisaj tachtav atzei haksolim. Sure, it's permitted. Again, all this is rabbinical. Of course, it's temporary. It's not. We had a Tosin Shabbos here in Oman. The halacha is you're permitted to make cheese on Yom Tov. What melacha does? Binyan. Okay, binyan is permitted because you permit make cheese on Yom Tov. So Tosis asks, we would like Beisil, we say bitoch. Person should be able to build himself a temporary structure on Yom Tif, rabbinically, right? Should be permitted. Tosa says it's also drabanan. On a Torah level, it's permitted. It's also drabanan. Okay, and that mitoch is even binyan kavua, even a permanent, right? Because the cheese, once it's made the cheese, that's set. You can't reverse the process. But it's interesting. But over there, it has nothing makam pepatish. See, with a binyan, you're playing around makam pepatish, right? You put the finishing touches on a structure, it's makam pepatish. Cheese is not makam pepatish, because makam pepatish has no relevance to food item. Okay. Let's see Tosis. This has to, very often people they improvise. They have like horses, like 2, horses. Then they take a piece of plywood and put it across the 2 horses. No, they want to set up, or they want to broaden the table. Let's say the table's only so wide, they want to broaden it. Right. So they put a piece of plywood across. Are you permitted to do it on Yom Tov, on Shabbos?
Put up a temporary table. Can you put up a temporary table?
Yeah, so what they do is, you have people hold the plywood, and then they take the horses and slip it underneath. Because that's kalachayat. You're doing it not the conventional way they normally build. Normally, we'll see Tosis, no one build from bottom up.
Right.
Here you're building top bottom.
So a bridge table is okay, because you have to hold the top and then open up the legs.
That's what it's normally done.
But
Yeah.
That's the way it's normally done.
That's the way it's
It's the only way to do it. Because the legs are fixed.
Right.
Unless it was the kind that you put the legs in.
well, so what do you do today? They're all attached.
So said you permit to open the bridge table. Well, let's say a regular folding table.
Or a folding chair. You need other chairs.
So there's a terim because it has no walls. Table to be binyan has to have walls.
Good, like the sukkah, right?
We'll see Tosus.
Good. Oh, God. You need a member.
Okay. Well, mato lamalo osur that be derech binyan because that's the way you normally build. You build bottom up. V'chein habitaimo the kulan bim tov heich mesajin shulchan shein lo raglayim al gabik sapsolim. Here, shalom. He's asking the case, how do you improvise and take a tabletop and put it on top of chairs? They first put the chairs and then they put the tabletop on top of the chairs. So what do they do when they're going bottom up? That's Tosa's question. The whole vein hear this? Here we're talking when you made the bonfire, it has walls and then you put a roof on top. Right? Here, there are no walls. Therefore, it has no semblance of binyan. The building always has walls. These little mechitzas lichtodim, hamagis mechitzas that go all the way down to the floor, to the ground. The tema, the b'Shabbos, machzirin keder agabi kiro. It says you're permitted to take the pot and put it back on the kiro. V'osem kamar man disli machzirin dafilu b'Shabbos machzirin. And one holds that it's permitted. You're permitted even on Shabbos. Over there, the walls. You're putting the keder has like an insert inside. You put the pot on top. So what are you doing? You made a roof. You have walls, and you put a roof. It says it's permitted even on Shabbos. Why is it permitted? Yeshloma the kol hanach ein asur elo hechat shemisakin oil v'amachitzos. Avalum also oil below machitzos shari. Also gabikir machitzos yasus mitchilo. It's only when you're making both. Binyan is when you're making the walls and the.
Right.
But let's say the walls are there. So over here, when you take the two barrels, you've created two walls, right? Barrel to the right, barrel to the left. You have the fire burning on the ground, and you put the pot across the top. The person did everything here. He created the walls, and he created the roof covering. The bonfire, he build the walls, puts the covering on. So we say you start top down. First you hold the roof, then you insert the walls on the side. The case on Kira, the Kira itself is a square box which has an insert in it. So therefore, the walls, did he create the walls when he puts the pot on top? So therefore, it's not a question of binyan, if it's permitted. Also, gabi kirush mechitz soy asuyis mitchilo, chen pirush v'nechanal gabi beyoso, or sheish beitzim mikan, vechal gabeim, or tachas aviron lo krish raj. Okay. The Gemara will speak about it. First makes like a pyramid of eggs. You want to have an egg display. So you have, let's say, 24 eggs is the base, and then you narrow it, make a pyramid. So the Gemara will say later, all you do with walnuts. You're not permitted. You're making a structure. Because there you're creating the walls, and then afterwards you're creating this whole structure. If you want, you have to hold the egg on top, insert two there, and work it all the way down until you have the pyramid. You're doing backwards. Because it has a semblance. It's not really building. It has a semblance of building.
Right.
So one doesn't even have a semblance if you build backwards. You build top down rather than bottom up. Okay. Yeah. Amar Rav Yehuda, Haimadutim Malam Matashori. This beer that you're building, which has walls on the top, you want to build it from top down. It's permitted. Milmato mal oser. V'chein beyoso. This is the case of the eggs. You're creating a pyramid of eggs. Rashi. Beos beim gasos hanusus api kli cholul king tripod. Or gavi askol mishivin es akli tchila v'akach yisad olav eliyazena biyodo yoshev abe olav v'akach yoshev akli. Yeah. A bed. Let's say you have a bed that could be set up. How do you put together the bed? Same thing. We're talking about according to us. It's a bed that has walls to it. Okay. Okay. It says you're not permitted a wedge of wood to equalize the pot that it shouldn't tip. And not used as a door stopper. I mean, this door stopper is in the door. It's supporting it, as you're not permitted to support the pot. But the pot, you can't use it to accommodate the door. Okay. And somchen is agder bakas chen adelis lishon nosu etzim lasoka. Tanakama says, what's the reason? Even though you designated, you had in mind, because what is the primary usage of wood? It's for burning. It's for kindling. Reb Shimon Matir, because Reb Shimon's of the opinion, it's not muktzah. Any conceivable use that you could use it, a person doesn't negate it from his mind. You're not permitted to lead an animal with a stick on Yom Tiv. Reb Shimon Matir, it's Mishnah. Reb Shimon Kavua, sure, maybe he holds like his father, that the wood can be used for other usages. So let's say muktzah lo. Yeah, the reason why it's not permitted, because it looks like going to market. Yeah. What we call the uvda d'chol, right? You're not permitted to conduct yourself in Yom Tiv. So since during the week when you go to market with the animal, this is the way you lead it to market. Rashi says, Chingo mochol valshim shmini adam sovim holchim b'shuk. It sovus mchol kor lechingo. In Yiddish, b'dreitzach harum. B'dreitzach harum. You're wandering around. Chingo normally means a circle. You're milling around. Okay. Okay. Chizro. Rav Nachman Oser, Rav Sheshe Shori. What's Chizro? Chizro is a reed, like a root. Let's see Rashi. How do you interpret Chizro? Here. Yeah. On of eight, shu chad coats. Here, it's a branch of a tree which is sharp as a splinter. Roy lesakno, it's li kamin shvud. You want to use a sharp piece of wood as to insert in the meat.
Yeah, like a skewer.
You're not skewering it with it, but just to grab up meat, like a fork.
Yeah.
It has a point on it here. So Chizur Rav Nachman also says you can't use it. Why? Because it's designated, its usage is for kindling, it's not for using as a skewer. Rav Sheshe Shari, it would be wet and damp, everybody would agree you can't use it. Why? Because what's its value? This is where it wasn't pre-designated for that. Because its value is firewood. If it's damp, it doesn't burn. So at this stage, it's not firewood. Where did he argue? If the skewer is dry, it could be used as firewood. If you use it as firewood, can I use it for whatever I choose to use it? That's similar to machlokes. The one who says they can't use the wood as a skewer, he says wood itself, its value, its function is to use for fuel, not as a skewer. Does it make a difference that it has to be a skewer? It has to be in the wood shape. It could be the coal. Everybody agrees if it's dry, the what's his name? It would be permitted. If it's damp, because can't use for kindling. Let's say you have a very large bonfire. You have an inferno. Throw wood even it's wet, it's going to burn.
Right.
So since, even though it's remote, since in that case it's not muktzah. He'll say a best shori ratifta oser. Yeah. The halacha is if it's dry, it's permitted. If it's wet, it's not. Dorsh rava ishol shikonas lir eitzid litoman ud. A woman should not go into the woodshed and take out a ud. Okay, we'll stop here.
Say, what is it?
What is